Charlie, Vincent, thank you guys for being here on CBR with us today.
Here.
Welcome to New York Comic Con. How's your con going so far?
Yeah, so far so good, right? Fun. It's cool to be back. I mean, how
Yeah.
many years has it been since we did an announcement here? Like, probably 4 or 5 at least.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, I think 2014, right?
No, because we announced again like season 2 here.
Oh, that's
So
right.
it was
we did.
2016 and 17. Yeah.
So it's around that.
Yeah. And it's a homecoming in more ways than one, because this is Mr. Murdock's, like, this is his home turf. He's from Hell's Kitchen. We are in Hell's Kitchen. So, like, what an appropriate place. And you're a Brooklynite, back in New York Comic Con. It's just it's all coming together.
Yeah.
But I mean, how gratifying is it for you guys to just be here talking about this series after, you know, it was so beloved in its original run, and there was a time where we thought, you know, maybe we weren't going to see these guys again.
Not me.
Yeah, no, he never doubted. That's a
Yeah.
true story.
Yeah.
I'd get on the phone with him, and he was like, "They're gonna bring us back,"
Yeah.
and I'd be like, "No, they're not. it's
Yeah.
over. Let it go."
Feeling bad for me.
I was like, I'd say to my wife, I was like, "I think Vincent's delusional. He won't let it go."
Yeah, I mean, but did you in that interim period? Because, you know, I think this is an appropriate question again at Comic-Con and this fan culture and celebration. Were you guys feeling the love from the fans during that time? Because I feel like fans were really, really rallying for you guys to come back.
It was a very real thing. We were very much aware of what was going on with the fans.
Yeah.
With the Save Daredevil people, and it was amazing. They had got a billboard on Broadway. Like they just went all out
Yeah.
to save the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, there would be a team of them at New York Comic Con every year.
Yeah.
All wearing Save Daredevil
Yeah.
camp T-shirts.
We
It's
were
so
very
cool,
aware
man.
of it.
Yeah, you felt
Yeah.
it. You felt it. You
Yeah.
felt it.
And I think it had a lot to do with the show coming back.
How would you guys say this new iteration, Born Again, like, you know, because obviously we're on a different platform now, same characters, but, you know, it seems like there could be some tonal shifts. How would you say that this iteration is going to really honor what you guys kicked off with the original?
I think we're going to go, if I'm not mistaken, I think we're going to go down as the darkest thing that's been on Disney Plus.
You think so?
Yeah, up to this point, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, the show is very dark, and so it's a new thing. You know, the Echo was kind of dark. This goes a lot further. Our series goes a lot further, and it does harken back to the Netflix series in a lot of ways. You know, there's more time spent with us as men versus who our iconic figures are. Like, there's as much attention paid to these new paths that we're on for this show that we weren't on in the last show, but the intensity is there. The violence is intense,
Yeah. Yeah.
to say the least.
Yeah, I think Brad Winderbaum from Marvel, he said it's the most brutal action we've seen thus far on a series.
sense.
Could you feel that on set?
Yeah. There's some very cool sequences. Phil Silvera, our stunt coordinator from the first 2 seasons, came back, and he's just a master. It's more, you know, as well as it being brutal and kind of gory and all of those things. What he does, I think, particularly well, is he makes every beat, every punch, every kick have a meaning. You know, it's felt, hopefully. You know, and there's a reason behind it. There's clear tactics within the way in which the characters kind of engage in combat, and I think that just makes it so much more compelling to watch. And he's, I think, probably the best at that. So yeah, it's there's some dark stuff.
And you got heavy into MMA, I believe.
I wouldn't say I got heavy into it.
Yeah.
I did some, like, it was one of the things that when we started doing this show, I was cast relatively late back in 2014. There was so much I had to try and catch up on, so initially those first few episodes I wasn't able to do much of the stunt work because I just didn't have the training. And then over the course of those years, I did more and more and more. And by the time we got to the end of season 3, I was doing quite a large percentage of each sequence and really enjoying it. But I didn't really have any technique. And then when I found out the show was coming back, we had a bit of a long run-in. We had I knew probably a year before I filmed Spider-Man, I knew that I was coming back in some capacity. I was doing a show in Dublin. I teamed up with a wonderful company down there, an MMA club, and did some stuff with them. And really enjoyed it, but yeah, I'm not sure I went heavy into it. Just trying to get some technique and stuff, and so that I could perhaps be used even more in the sequences.
But you wouldn't like survive an actual MMA cage, is what you're telling
No,
us.
I'm not Tom Hardy. I think no, exactly. I think, and also the thing with Matt. With Daredevil is I do always think of him as a little bit of a brawler. You know, he has some technique. I think he's trained in all sorts of taekwondo and Muay Thai and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm off. The stunt team can tell me, this piece is kind of more of a Muay Thai piece. This is more judo, whatever. And I like the idea of bringing some jiu-jitsu into it. Jiu-jitsu is hard to do on camera because it's so much grappling, and that's not. I'm not sure that's as compelling to watch, but done well, it can be. It's just fun to have a little bit of an understanding of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think one of the other biggest questions entering this new iteration is sort of what the dynamic is going to look like between these two characters at this point in time. Can you guys tease anything about how they'll be interacting with one another?
Well, we still don't like each other.
Yeah. I think there's rumors that they're gonna like each other all of a sudden at some point.
It gets very intense.
Mm-hmm.
When we're around each other in the show, the two characters, it gets intense, and you can see, no matter what our characters are saying to each other, you can feel the how one would rather the other one not be around at all. Yeah.
Okay.
The fun thing that's also quite a challenge for the writers is that the history that we've built, the history that is in the comics, but also I think what makes compelling viewership with these two characters is that the idea that if they do get too close to each other, there will be an explosion. And so as a result, you can't bring them together casually too often. And if you do, you have to do it in very specific circumstances whereby there is a reason for them not to get at each other physically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's
fun.
Yeah. But we do wish we had more scenes together.
Yeah.
But it just wouldn't work that way.
Yeah.
You need to it's just exactly what Charlie just said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Finally, in the spirit of being at Comic-Con, which is really these conventions are really sort of the epicenter of where fans and the people who create the things that they are fanatical about collide. And so I'd be curious to know, having worked in show business for many years, like who is somebody that you in your own business that you've gotten to meet over the course of these years that you were really like fanned out over?
Jeff Bridges.
Okay.
Recently.
Yeah.
I ran into him.
Mm-hmm. For the first time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
I
great.
just started spewing my love immensely for him.
And what he's admitting here is that Jeff Bridges was super excited to meet him as well.
You witnessed this.
I witnessed it, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's what makes it super cool.
Yeah.
Is you meet one of your idols and they say, "I love you back." I'm yet to experience that phenomenon.
Yeah. Who's been yours?
One of the first jobs I did, I was cast, and I didn't really know anything. I haven't been told anything, but I knew I'd got the part, and I was called up and said, you need to go down to Pinewood Studios and have a rehearsal with Bob. And that's all they told me. And I got down to Pinewood and I was introduced to Robert De Niro. And I was like, to this day, I was smoking a cigarette, sitting on the step, wondering who Bob was. And then,
That Bob.
Yeah. And then I had to do some fencing with him.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. It's hard to beat. But we were on a panel with Frank Miller in our world. That's massive. That's so cool. To share the stage with someone like that.
It's crazy. The longer it's like what how the way you phrase the question. The longer you've been in the business, the more you want to meet the people that you never met. Because you know so much of their history.
Yeah.
and you have this big history yourself. So it's like, you know, I also just met John Turturro for the first time. We're both New Yorkers. Him and I had been where our careers started at exactly the same time. We just never met, and I got to have lunch with him 3 days ago.
Oh wait. What about what happened to us in was it New Orleans? Where were we when we got into the elevator, and that lady was like, knew you, and we didn't know how she knew you, and we were in the elevator. We were just going down to have dinner. We were at a convention somewhere in the country. I can't remember where.
Yeah.
I don't know where we were. Charlotte, maybe. Anyway, we got into this elevator. There was a lady in the elevator who clearly knew Vincent, and I think knew me, but she was like, oh, and she was saying something, and we were trying to catch up. And then she was like, she was Russian. We couldn't quite understand what she said. Do you remember this?
No.
Oh, you're going to remember now. And then we said, she said, oh, come with me. And I looked at Vincent and was like, what are we doing? He's like, I don't know.
Oh.
We follow, you know, and we went around the corner, and it was Richard Dreyfuss, his wife.
Yeah.
And she was sitting, and he was sitting at the table in this restaurant.
Yes.
And they were inviting us to join them. And
Yeah.
we sat and had dinner with Richard Dreyfuss, and you know, it was so.
I mean, my generation of actor, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, we used to sit and watch at the Bleecker Street Cinema in the Village back when it was a revival house. We used to watch triple features with him.
Yeah.
You know, like
unbelievable.
you could smoke cigarettes and smoke pot in the theater back then, and it was like we would just sit and get stoned out of our minds for like 6 hours and watch Richard Dreyfuss movies.
That's amazing.
You know?
American Graffiti.
Yeah. And then the
all
the
the-
following day at the convention, he made a point of coming to our panel and listening. And so,
that's
so cool.
He's very cool. He's
Yeah.
a very cool dude.
I mean,
Richard.
that's
awesome.
That's pinch yourself kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
that's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool.